Hello, lovely YouTube viewers. I am roughly about 10 years behind times, so I'm only just filming my mid-year freakout tag video. I think every single booktuber in the world has already done this video in the last couple of weeks. I'm probably the last to do it, but hey ho, I'm trying. So yeah, I have had a very roller coaster 6 months reading wise. There's been some absolutely outstanding books that will be lifelong favourites, and there's been some proper shit. So let's get on with the video. So the first question, I'm gonna have to read these questions, I can't memorise them. So the first question is, the best book you've read so far in 2020. This was an easy choice. Easy. I don't think I even had to think for a nanosecond before this book title popped into my head. It was And the Stars Were Burning Brightly by Danielle Joando. Now, I read this as an ARC back in March, and then literally the second it was published, I ordered it because I can't not have this book in my life. I kind of feel like I want to lend it to everybody and anybody just so that everybody reads it, but then I don't want to in case it gets ruined, and it's so pretty and so nice. Right, okay, so this book, it's YA, and it follows two characters. First, you've got Nate, I think he's 15, and his big brother, I think he was about 17-ish. His big brother takes his own life. He commits suicide by hanging himself, and Nate finds him when he gets home from being out with his friends. So we follow Nate down this kind of journey of finding out why his brother killed himself, and he's like, well, my brother was clever, he had all this potential, he was going to do something with his life, why would he do this? There's got to be a reason. And so he starts investigating what could have happened leading up to his brother's death. And then we also follow Megan's story, and she was a friend of his brother, and she kind of gets involved in the investigation as well, and it deals with some very hard-hitting kind of bullying and social media bullying. It's heartbreaking, it really is. The things that they discover that his brother Al has gone through prior to his death, it really hits you. I'm getting wound up thinking about it. It's yeah, it felt so real. I was proper messy crying, like sobbing. I felt sick to my stomach. My heart was hurting, my chest was tight, I had a lump in my throat, tears streaming. Yeah, this is an incredible book. It's so well written, and it's so real. Like, the characters, you can I don't know, like, not feel them, but I can't explain it. They're just, it's out of this world, this book. It really is, really is, and I recommend it to everybody in the whole world, other than people that would be extremely triggered and have their mental health affected by it. But I think it's such an important book for people to read. I think especially teenagers should read this book and, you know, see the other side of what they're saying on social media and how it affects people. Yeah, so we started the video off in a happy place, didn't we? Right, so question 2 is the best sequel you've read so far in 2020. Again, another easy choice. Okay, so the original book, Scythe, and then we've got the sequels, Thunderhead and The Toll. This is such an incredible dystopian YA series. I absolutely loved it. I've no idea why I didn't get around to reading it before, because it has been on my TBR for a while. I'm so glad I finally got to it. Again, I read this as an ebook and then spotted these on Amazon, and they went on offer for a very short period, and it was an incredible price, so I purchased them. And again, these are books where I'm like, I really want to lend them to people, but then I don't, because they're so beautiful and I don't want them ruined. I don't know. But yeah, fantastic. Basically, we have got to a point in the world where death doesn't really kind of happen. Nobody gets ill. Nobody dies in accidents, things like that. So there is this society of scythes, and their job is to select people for gleaning, which means they get killed by the scythes and there's no coming back from that. That's it, you're dead. And that's like population control. And basically we meet 2 apprentice scythes and follow their kind of journey through training and becoming, you know, qualified or whatever, appointed scythes. Fantastic series. And then, right, number 3, a new release that you haven't read yet but you want to. This was quite a hard one because I seem to have kind of caught up on the ones, I've either caught up on the ones that were quite new releases that I wanted to read, or the ones that were new releases when I purchased them or put them on my TBR, and now old backlist books because I just never got around to reading them. So I've gone for, I can't get the sticker off it, The Prison Doctor, Women Inside. I read the original Prison Doctor by Dr. Amanda Brown. I think it was only last month, I think. I read it very recently. Really enjoyed it. A fantastic medical memoir with the unique aspect of it being, you know, a career within the justice system in the UK. And I'm really looking forward to this one. There's not many others that I could choose from, but yeah, this does sound really good. Then, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. None. That's my answer, 0. I have nothing on my radar at the moment that is due to be released in the next 6 months. Prior to filming this video, I did look because I'm like, I'm sure there must be something. And I went through several very long lists of books that are being released in the next 6 months, and none of them kind of gave me that that one kind of feeling. So yeah, none really, to be honest. Right, biggest disappointment. There's 2 that really stand out for me on this one. The first one was More Than It Hurts You by Darren Strauss. Now, I did an entire reading vlog about this book, something called Reading the Lowest Rated Book or something like that on my TBR. It was shite, it just really was. I have no idea how on earth somebody makes Munchausen by proxy and basically child abuse boring. It just should not be. I was expecting to learn a bit more about the illness, because you would assume authors kind of research things that they're writing about, but I learned nothing, and there wasn't any kind of interesting parts of the story to grab my attention. It pained me to read it, it really did. And I thought that was going to be like a 4 or 5 star book, so that was a big disappointment. Also, Flu by Wayne Simmons. This is Zompoc. There's been like a deadly strain of the flu that's swept across the globe, and you know, the dead start rising and eating people. So, you know, just your average Zompoc really. However, Wayne Simmons has written several books in this genre and in other kind of subgenres of horror, and I thought this was going to be amazing, and again it was boring. How do you make zombie apocalypse boring? I don't. he managed to find a way, and I've got to say that's an achievement. So yeah, I've still kept it though, and the only reason is because I keep every zombie book that I read physically. So that's the only reason I've still got it, even though it was shit. But then I've got other ones by Wayne Simmons somewhere else. And now I'm a bit like, should I read them? Should I not? Yeah. So that was a disappointment. The biggest surprise book that I've read. The biggest surprise I would say was The Old Man at the End of the World, again by William Hale Harrison. I think it was a big surprise because I love that genre, and I read a lot of the kind of zombie or post-apocalyptic dystopian type genre, and it's quite easy to get it wrong. I think it's quite easy to write it a bit shitty and a bit crappy, or to just follow what other people have done before you. And so I was kind of, this is a brand new author, you know, he's a guy in his 60s, he's never written anything before at all, not even, you know, just in this genre, just never written anything. And he was asking for people to read his book via a Facebook group. So you kind of think, you know, he's not got a big publisher out there bigging it up, there's no marketing behind it. Is there a reason? You know, is this going to be a shit book? So I thought, do you know what, I'll read it. It could be average at best, you know, I might enjoy it, I don't know. And I absolutely loved it. 5-star. I've spoke about it in my June wrap-up. It was just brilliant, absolute brilliant. Very character driven. I loved all the characters. They were all believable. And I got invested in their survival, and the kind of the way the zombie apocalypse comes about was very believable as well. Yeah, I just thought, and it had this really great mix of medical and science and military, and rather than, they tend to be like one focus, but the author's done a fantastic job of researching every aspect of this, and you know, different characters come from different backgrounds, and they explain the whole thing very well. Yeah, it was really, really well done. And then favourite new author, right? So Neil Shusterman definitely is up there. Scythe was the first ever book I read by Neil Shusterman, but since then I've purchased Unwind and The Dry. I think that's it. But yeah, fantastic. I really, really enjoyed Scythe series that much that I think if his writing continues in the same kind of style, and you know, these same kind of enjoyable ideas, then he will become one of my favourite authors. Also Grady Hendrix. Again, this is another book that I've only just read and spoke about in the June wrap-up, and that's the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Absolutely loved every single second of reading that book. I thought it was incredible. I think the Southern manners and expectations kind of aspect just enhanced the whole story, and brilliant. I wouldn't have thought I would have enjoyed it as much as I did. But yeah, so from that I then went and immediately purchased Horror Store and My Best Friend's Exorcism. Both of these have been on my TBR and my radar since release, and I just kind of, I didn't order them just in case, because paranormal stuff isn't normally my kind of thing. But after reading the book club, I was like, yeah, I just need them all, and I need to read them all, and hopefully I will love these just as much. Newest fictional crush, Prince Maxon. It does mean crush like what you fancy, doesn't it? As in like somebody you would date. I don't know. This is quite a hard one for me because I read a lot of horror and dystopian and messed up books, so there's not really many characters that I would date or have a crush on. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to just go with Prince Maxim from the Selection series. I mean, as much of a tomboy as I am, I can also see an appeal in, you know, this handsome prince whisking me away and treating me like a princess, and, you know, I don't know. I'd probably get very bored very quickly of a life like that. However, he just sounds like he would be incredibly handsome and a nice person. I don't think nice cuts it, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm not somebody who has crushes on fictional characters, so yeah. Right, newest favourite character. I am going to have to go with Nate from And the Stars Were Burning Brightly. I think I've got to say Nate was. So this book is set in Manchester, which is literally, like, I live in Greater Manchester. So from where this book is set, it's probably half an hour, 40-minute drive from me. So I was able to have an understanding as to whether this character was very believable and very real. And I think he was. I think a lot of teenage boys out there would behave and think like this. The regional dialect and the way some of the words were written, as in the way he would say them with his accent, and some of the slang was spot on. I think he's my favourite character just because he felt so real. He felt like somebody that I just wanted to hug and tell him that everything would be okay, and, you know, just to wrap him up in cotton wool and look after him. And I think he was like the perfect mix of teenage boy, I'm so big and hard, you know, like kind of this hard type of exterior they can kind of project when they're growing up and they want to be cool. But he also had this really great mix of like a vulnerability to him and his emotions, and his love for his brother and his family. And yeah, he was just perfect for this story. He was a perfect character. A book that made you cry. Well, And the Stars Were Burning Brightly. Yeah, we've already established that. That is a heartbreaking book. The other one was What is with all these stickers? Never mind. 3 Hours by Rosamund Lupton. This is the story of a school that's got both a high school and a primary school part of it, set in the UK, and a shooter enters the building and he shoots a teacher and he's threatening to shoot the children. It's basically, it's horrendous. The story it's YA, I would say, and it's heartbreaking. It has you on the edge of your seat. It's one of them where you can't put it down. You just need to know what happens and how it turns out. It's kind of told from the aspect of several different people. So you've got, I think it's a couple of students from memory. You see it from their points of view. They're in different parts of the school grounds. And then I think there's the police officer's view and possibly a teacher. I can't remember. I did read this in January. I can't remember now. But yeah, you see it from all different sides of you know, what's going on, and it's just, you're like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And then, you know, yeah, fantastic, so well written, and it just had me crying my eyes out, especially at the end. And then the other book that really hit me hard emotionally this year so far was Better Off Bald, A Life in 147 Days by Andrea Wilson Wood. This was an ARC that I received. It is a memoir of a lady, Andrea, whose sister, Adrienne, she was diagnosed with cancer, and basically she had 100, well, they didn't know obviously at the time, but she lived for 147 days following that diagnosis. And I don't think I need to explain to you why it was a book that made me cry. Adrienne was such an incredible young woman, really incredible, and the kind of personality and strength that she had just literally shone out from the pages. And Andrea, her big sister, who was also a mother figure in her life and her, you know, her guardian, her dedication and love for her sister, it's just beyond words. It really, I mean, the book is just heart-wrenching. It really is. It's yeah. Before I start crying again, let's move on. Right, a book that made you happy. Well, I don't really read many books that you would say are happy books. I tend to read a lot of horror, science fiction, non-fiction, but about awful things. Yeah. I've kind of got a twisted reading love. I don't know how you would say it. So yeah, I haven't got any happy books I can tell you about. But obviously books that make me feel happy or make me satisfied and like happy that I've read them. You know, I've already mentioned them. It was, you know, The Old Man at the End of the World, a fantastic Zompok, any kind of great Zompok that's well written, that'll make me happy. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, fantastic dystopian, and also The Diary of a Serial Killer's Daughter by L.A. Detweiler that I read recently. That made me happy because it satisfied the messed up, twisted person that lives inside of here. That was gruesome, it was weird, it was just fucked up basically. It was it was fantastic. I loved it. But if you are not into blood and guts and you don't like to see things from the villain's point of view, then yeah, it's not for you, but I loved it. 12. The most beautiful book you've bought so far. I think the book that sticks out most in my mind is Horror Store. I know it's not traditionally beautiful, but I find that a lot of the beautiful books that you look at and go, oh my god, that is stunning, tend to be fantasy books, and I don't read fantasy. So yeah, I'm probably never going to own one of those books. But for me, this, and I'm going to say this because I just can't stop looking at it. I mean, how incredible is this? This is a horror story, obviously, set inside an IKEA type store. Obviously that's the dystopian side of it, or like the, you know, post horror. And I just think that is incredible. Yeah, I just can't stop loving this book. I just love how it looks. It's just so good. And then when you get to like the chapters, each chapter starts with a piece of information, just like an IKEA catalogue. It's so good. Oh, I love it. And then at the back, you've got like vouchers and coupons and come back to our shop and a map of the store, and it's so beautiful. Yeah, I am going to say horror stuff. Right, the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? All of them. I don't think I've really got like a set list of books that I desperately have to get to by the end of the year, because if I'm honest, I would say the vast majority of these would then be on that list, and that makes the list a bit pointless. One I'm going to say is The Institute by Stephen King. Now, I'm saying this because, firstly, I bought this as soon as it was released last year. I think it was about October time. And I paid a whopping 20 whole British pounds for this. Like, 20 quid. That is definitely by far the most expensive book I've ever bought. I don't like to spend lots of money on books. So I bought this desperate to read it when it was brand new out. And that was October 2019. It's now July 2020. And I've still not read it. So I think this needs to be a priority. And also because I go on about horror, but then I've never read a Stephen King book. So I probably should read a book from the King of Horror. So yeah, I'm going to push that up my TBR. And I want to finish the Illuminae files. I read Illuminae last year. I think it was about this time last year, actually. And I was determined to go on and read the rest of the series. And for some reason, got sidetracked. No idea why. Need to get back to finishing that series. And then I think also I've got, I think this is all of them. I may have missed a few, but I have got a pile of medical memoir books, and I just need to get round to reading these, because I think there's only ever been one medical memoir type book that I've not really enjoyed, and that I spoke about that in my June wrap up. But yeah, so I bought all these like really wanting to read them and just never got round to it. So I need to get through some of these. And I think that's everything. That is all the questions. Nobody tagged me. I just did it myself. So I'm not going to tag anyone else. Just if you're watching this and you haven't done the tag, feel free to go ahead. I will put the questions in the description below. And thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye.